How you feel about her?
She's a piece of shit. I was
Jesus.
in California. She lacked professional competence, and she worked on it by hiking up her hemline when she needed influence rather than researching.
50 be playing a lot, but yeah, he actually stated that for the Hollywood Reporter, that he thought it was weird for a grown man to ask him.
What constitutes you as the African American men in this election?
I see them identifying with Trump as they got RICO charges.
Hold on to your seats because 50 Cent just dropped a bombshell on Kamala Harris, and it's got everyone talking.
And I didn't want to get on the phone, like, no. And she was like, what the F? We need the money. And she's looking at me like, what?
And can you believe he seems to be saying that she's not like black people? What's that even supposed to mean? Is this another one of his classic trolling moments, or is there something deeper here?
The presidential candidates get black votes because they think we need ratchet, bougie, classy.
And wait, it gets even juicier. Did you hear that Kamala allegedly tried to hire Megan Thee Stallion to boost her black image?
So instead of Kamala Harris giving us policy to benefit black people, she gave us shaking Megan Thee Stallion.
Seriously, how far would someone go to seem more relatable? Is this for real or just another political stunt gone wrong? Let's dive into the drama and see what's really going on. You know how 50 Cent never shies away from speaking his mind, right? Well, this time he's allegedly throwing shade at none other than Vice President Kamala Harris. Word on the street is that he's got some serious issues with her. Could it be because he's fed up with what he sees as her corruption and wants to blow the lid off the whole thing?
He said, it's fine. They would feel whatever they feel because I don't know what is true or what's not true about that situation.
But wait, there's more. Is 50 Cent really in the loop about some underground dealings, or is he just stirring the pot for some publicity? And if there's corruption, why is he the one bringing it up? Could he have some insider info, or is he just frustrated with the current administration? What's the real story here? Are there actual facts backing his claims, or is this just another case of 50 stirring the pot for some attention? And if there's truth to his accusations, why aren't more people talking about it? What does this mean for Harris's political future?
I don't like gang stuff.
I am not gang gang. You know what I'm saying? I am not gang gang.
I don't like gangs. I don't like conspiracy. I don't like the word RICO. Like none of that. So you see the young boys say, you ain't got no bodies.
Is 50 Cent trying to start a movement, or is this just another celebrity feud in the making? Whatever it is, you can bet people are going to be buzzing about this one. So Kamala Harris's campaign efforts to court the black community have been notably vigorous and multifaceted, reflecting a strategic emphasis on securing this critical voting bloc. As the first woman of South Asian and African American descent to be elected Vice President of the United States, Harris has a unique position from which to engage with black voters. However, her efforts have been met with a mix of cautious optimism and skepticism, revealing the complexities of her relationship with this community.
The first black female president. Let's get this done, hotties. Hotties for Harris. Hi.
Harris has been highly visible at numerous events that resonate deeply with Black Americans. From attending church services to participating in cultural festivals, she has made a point to be present and active. Her speeches often highlight key issues such as racial justice, economic inequality, and police reform, topics that are of paramount importance to many black voters. Additionally, her visits to historically black colleges and universities, HBCUs, serve to underline her commitment to educational advancement and opportunity within the black community.
Any policy that will benefit black people will benefit all of society. Let's be clear about that. Let's really be clear about that.
One of the central themes of Harris's outreach is her personal narrative. She frequently discusses her upbringing in a biracial household, emphasizing the influence of her Jamaican father and Indian mother. By sharing her experiences of navigating multiple cultural identities, she aims to connect with black voters on a more personal level, suggesting a shared understanding of the struggles and triumphs that come with being part of a minority community in America.
So I'm not going to sit here and say I'm going to do something that's only going to benefit black people. No.
Despite these efforts, Harris's past as a prosecutor remains a contentious point for many. During her tenure as California's Attorney General, she was known for her tough-on-crime policies, which some critics argue disproportionately impacted black communities. This aspect of her record has led to a degree of mistrust, as voters question whether her current stance on criminal justice reform represents a genuine shift in perspective or a politically expedient pivot. Moreover, the authenticity of Harris's outreach is a topic of debate. Some Black voters perceive her efforts as overly strategic, aimed more at securing votes than at fostering genuine change. This skepticism is compounded by a broader sense of disillusionment with politicians who make grand promises during campaigns but fail to deliver substantive results once in office.
I'm not going to do something just for Black people. No. She has said that she has not backed off of that.
In an attempt to bridge this trust gap, Harris has garnered endorsements from high-profile Black leaders and celebrities. These endorsements are intended to lend credibility to her campaign and signal to Black voters that influential figures within their community support her candidacy. However, even with these endorsements, the response from the Black community has been lukewarm in many quarters. Voters are increasingly demanding more than symbolic gestures. They want to see tangible commitments and actions that address systemic inequities. Harris's policy proposals have been scrutinized for their potential impact on Black communities. While her platforms on healthcare, education, and economic opportunity resonate with many, there are ongoing questions about whether these proposals will be effectively implemented and whether they will lead to meaningful improvements in the lives of Black Americans. Voters are looking for detailed plans and accountability mechanisms that ensure promises translate into real progress.
She has not wavered from that. She has continued on pretending that Black people aren't asking for anything.
The reception of Harris's campaign within the Black community highlights a broader challenge for politicians seeking to engage with minority voters. Authenticity, trust, and a demonstrated commitment to addressing systemic issues are crucial for gaining and maintaining support. As Harris continues her campaign, the effectiveness of her outreach efforts will be a key factor in determining her ability to connect with Black voters and secure their support. In a revealing midsummer report for Pete Buttigieg's 2020 presidential campaign, a few lines offered insight into a crucial development in that race: the relative lack of enthusiasm among Black voters for the Black candidates. This report, based on interviews with groups of Black voters, highlighted a complex and nuanced perspective on Kamala Harris. According to Buttigieg's pollster, Black voters recognized the potential in Kamala Harris, but harbored doubts about her electability as a Black woman. This skepticism reflected broader concerns about America's readiness to elect a Black woman to the highest office. Despite Harris's impressive credentials and her ability to articulate issues pertinent to the Black community, there was a palpable anxiety about whether the country as a whole would support her candidacy. They see potential in her, Buttigieg's pollster wrote about Kamala Harris after interviewing groups of Black voters, but do worry that America won't elect a Black woman. The report also touched on the fallout from a pivotal moment in the Democratic primary debates. Harris's pointed criticism of Joe Biden on racial issues during the June debate was a significant moment in her campaign, but it did not resonate as positively with Black voters as might have been expected. For many, this attack did not feel sincere. Instead of perceiving it as a genuine critique, some Black voters viewed it as a calculated political maneuver, which contributed to a sense of wariness about her authenticity. This ambivalence towards Harris among Black voters was emblematic of a broader challenge within the Democratic primary. While there was a strong desire for representation and the advancement of racial justice, there was also a cautious pragmatism at play. Voters were weighing the potential for progress against the harsh realities of electability and the risk of another 4 years under a Republican administration. The nuanced views captured in Buttigieg's report underscore the complexities of voter behavior and sentiment. Black voters, like all voters, are not monolithic. Their decisions are influenced by a variety of factors, including policy positions, perceived authenticity, and strategic considerations about who can win in the general election. Harris's struggle to galvanize widespread enthusiasm among Black voters, despite her heritage and advocacy, reflected these layered dynamics.
South Bend Mayor and presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg has surged in Democratic primary polls, with one major exception: his glaring lack of support among Black voters.
So the Buttigieg campaign's insights into Black voters' perspectives on Kamala Harris highlighted a critical aspect of the 2020 presidential race. It illustrated the delicate balance candidates must strike between appealing to key demographic groups and maintaining broad electability. and it underscored the importance of perceived sincerity and authenticity in securing voter support. As Harris continues to navigate the political landscape, these lessons remain relevant, offering valuable guidance for how she and other candidates might better connect with and mobilize diverse constituencies. Months later, with Kamala Harris having exited the 2020 race and Cory Booker trailing significantly in the polls, the absence of black candidates from the upcoming Democratic debate stage became a stark reality. Meanwhile, Joe Biden, who consistently received the most backing from African-American voters, was set to occupy center stage, buoyed by their support in the polls.
Folks, the people of this nation have spoken. They've delivered us a clear victory.
This collective choice by black voters had been one of the most misunderstood dynamics of the Democratic primary. Initial expectations from Harris's campaign and others were that states like South Carolina, with its majority black Democratic electorate, would serve as strongholds for black candidates. However, Biden's enduring appeal among black voters in South Carolina prevented any other candidate from gaining significant traction there, even as his poll numbers waned in other predominantly white early primary and caucus states. Several factors contributed to Biden's sustained support among black voters. His long-standing relationship with the African American community, built over decades of public service, and his role as vice president under Barack Obama played a crucial role. For many black voters, Biden represented familiarity, trust, and a sense of continuity with the Obama administration's policies, which were viewed favorably by many in the community. Moreover, Biden's campaign messaging around restoring the soul of America and addressing systemic racism resonated with black voters, who saw him as a candidate capable of defeating Donald Trump in the general election. This pragmatic approach reflected a broader strategic consideration within the black electorate, prioritizing electability and stability over the potential historic first of electing a black or biracial candidate. Harris and Booker, despite their credentials and efforts, struggled to overcome these deeply entrenched sentiments. Harris's prosecutorial record and Booker's perceived lack of momentum made it difficult for them to build the same level of trust and enthusiasm. The absence of their voices from the debate stage symbolized the complex interplay of race, history, and strategic voting considerations that shaped the primary dynamics.
We got to start listening to these people. She's told us, I'm not going to do nothing just for black people, even though she's done things for everybody else but black people.
The situation in South Carolina exemplified these dynamics vividly. While Harris had hoped to capitalize on her biracial background and policy positions tailored to address racial inequities, Biden's deep-rooted connections and strategic focus on electability won out. His ability to maintain a strong lead in a state with a significant black electorate underscored the multifaceted nature of voter preferences and the importance of perceived viability in the broader political landscape. As the primary season continued, these dynamics served as a critical lesson for all candidates. It highlighted the necessity of building authentic, long-term relationships with key voter blocs and understanding the intricate factors that drive their decisions. For Harris, Booker, and others, it was a reminder of the challenges and complexities inherent in navigating the diverse and evolving landscape of American politics. A review of public polling and interviews with black strategists, activists, and Democratic officials sheds light on why African American voters largely rallied behind non-black candidates during the 2020 Democratic primary. This collective choice can be attributed to a medley of concerns about Kamala Harris's and Cory Booker's electability, their authenticity, and their campaign styles, which collectively prevented them from effectively challenging Joe Biden's enduring, and to some surprising, strength among African Americans. The affinity voters in these groups feel for Joe Biden is deep and strong, rooted in his relationship with Barack Obama, who is the ultimate validator, Buttigieg pollster Katie Connolly wrote in a July report, obtained this fall by McClatchy, that garnered attention for probing how Buttigieg's sexual orientation was affecting his chase for African American voters. The power of the Obama association with these voters was paramount, Connolly added. While Biden's backing in largely white Iowa and New Hampshire appears somewhat shallow, Connolly continued, the connection black voters in South Carolina felt with Biden seems harder to break. Month after month in 2019, campaign strategists, pundits, and the political press would believe that connection was fraying on the back of some new development. A mistake that has persisted to this day, as Biden continues to enjoy strong polling in South Carolina. Black candidates make one primary mistake. They assume that they're going to have the black vote just because they're black, said Johnny Cordero, chair of the South Carolina Democratic Black Caucus. Harris has placed no higher than third among black voters in Politico/Morning Consult polls since August, behind Biden and Bernie Sanders, and she trailed Elizabeth Warren in fourth in more recent surveys, including a Quinnipiac poll out of South Carolina. Booker, too, has consistently polled under 5% among black voters in most national polls, and he has not broken much above that threshold since his entry into the presidential race in February. That has contributed to his likely absence from the December debate, which requires showings above 4% in qualifying surveys. Cordero suggested that Harris and Booker did not spend enough time seeking black support, perhaps as a result of the baked-in idea that black voters would naturally gravitate to them. We understand that in order to win, the Democratic Party has to appeal to a lot of people, Cordero continued. What we're saying is, listen, we understand that, and we understand that you're not going to win with us alone, so you need to sit and talk with us. That led to wide concern on the ground in key states like South Carolina that black candidates were not authentic enough in their petitions for black support. If Corey weren't in the race, I probably would have selected her. Hattie McDaniel, a South Carolina state representative supporting Booker, said of Harris in an interview, but McDaniel added that she couldn't find that true connection to the struggles that I had to go through to get to where I am. I saw more in Corey than her. Harris's record as a prosecutor, which she pitched as a strength in a potential matchup with Donald Trump in the general election, but swung back and forth between emphasizing and de-emphasizing as her campaign went on, also bothered some black voters, especially black men.
But yet she sit up and tell you, I ain't gonna do nothing just for you because you black. But she run around talking about she black. Don't you do for people who are like you?
And some black voters also voiced concerns this year that the country wasn't ready yet to support another black president, or especially another black woman. The sentiment surfaced in the focus groups Buttigieg's campaign conducted in South Carolina, and Harris tried to address it head-on during her campaign. Is America ready for that? Are they ready for a woman of color to be president? Harris said during a campaign event in Iowa earlier this year. A few of Harris's supporters believe the most damaging result of her exit, in addition to the lack of diversity in the current candidate pool, is the impact it could have on black female candidates who decide to run for office in the future.
She got her political star, her political upstart, because she was dating this guy, Willie, can't think of his last name right now, and he was married and he was in his 60s, and Kamala Harris was just a spring chicken, and that is how she entered the political scene.
Avis Jones DeWeaver, lead researcher for the Black Women's Roundtable poll that was released in September, said her biggest concern is that another qualified black politician will think twice about running after witnessing Kamala's cut-short campaign, along with the negative media treatment she received, Jones DeWeaver said. It's a story we as black women see all our lives, she said. We all suffer when we create that scenario. Amy Allison, founder and executive director of She the People, also lamented Harris's absence. Kamala's presence in the race helped blaze a trail for the next generation of women of color, Allison said in a statement. She ran a competitive campaign that has forced us to rethink what it means to be electable. But Donna Brazile, the former Democratic National Committee chair and Al Gore campaign manager, said after Harris dropped out of the 2020 race that her campaign's strengths and struggles wouldn't have too much bearing on future campaigns by black women. I don't think you can take one political season and determine whether or not this is going to be the end of any black woman's decision to run, said Brazile, who also cited the campaigns of Carol Moseley Braun and Shirley Chisholm. She was one of 6 candidates that qualified for the next debate. She has some viability, but she doesn't have enough, Brazile continued. You need money, you need a message, and you need momentum. You gotta have a combo, and she doesn't have a combo. Seems she did want to show the money and everything, but everything seemingly went wrong when she recently hired Megan Thee Stallion at her campaign rally. Former President Donald Trump, the Republican presidential candidate, was one of the critics who took aim at the support Harris received from Megan and rapper Quavo at her Tuesday event. Crazy Kamala Harris, voted the worst vice president in American history, needed a concert to bring people into the Atlanta arena, he posted on Truth Social Tuesday evening. I don't need concerts or entertainers, I just have to make America great again. Megan, donning royal pants and a matching blazer and tie over a cropped white-collared shirt, took the stage as an opening act for Harris's Tuesday rally in Atlanta, which was live-streamed on social media. I want to start off by saying hotties for Harris, Megan said before launching into a compilation of her songs, including clean versions of Girls in the Hood, Mamushi, Body, and Savage. In between tracks, she encouraged supporters to elect Harris as the country's first female president. "We about to make history with the first female president, the first black female president." When introducing Body, she said, "Now I know my ladies in the crowd love they body, and if you want to keep loving your body, you know who to vote for." This has sparked a lot of debate, especially within black communities. The reaction boils down to a frustration that's been simmering for a while: the disconnect between flashy campaign tactics and the real, everyday needs of black Americans.
Megan, why was you on that stage twerking? Oh no, I love Meg. That's my girl, and I'ma always stand on business when it comes to her. Girl, you was on that presidential stage twerking. Girl, you know we cannot be acting like that in front of the auntie.
First off, let's acknowledge Megan Thee Stallion's immense influence and popularity. She's a major figure in the music world, and her involvement in a campaign rally might seem like a savvy move to attract attention and engage younger voters. It could be seen as an attempt to connect with a demographic that's highly engaged with music and pop culture. However, the backlash stems from the perception that this approach is more about optics than substance. There's a feeling that hiring celebrities is more of a symbolic gesture than a genuine effort to address systemic issues. Critics argue that instead of focusing on star power, Harris should prioritize policies that directly impact black communities, like addressing economic disparities, improving access to quality education, and reforming criminal justice practices.
Now, Kamala Harris, I just watched your little halftime show. Your little, halftime show with Megan Thee Stallion. I know you call it a rally, but I beg differ.
Many argue that the focus should be on the policies and programs that directly benefit black Americans. This includes efforts to close the racial wealth gap, improve healthcare access, and create job opportunities. The concern is that celebrity endorsements might divert attention from these crucial issues. One person wrote, "We have serious issues to address in our nation, but Harris is having a concert, not a rally. That is very insulting to me as a Black/Native American Indian woman." Another one added, "This so-called rally blew up. No one could take her seriously. So disrespectful to black people. She's not even black. That's why she did that. Black people are not stupid. They see it." There's also a concern about authenticity. If Harris's engagement with Megan Thee Stallion comes across as a calculated move rather than a genuine connection or understanding of black issues, it could backfire. Voters are looking for leaders who not only acknowledge their struggles, but also actively work towards meaningful solutions.
This is how the presidential candidates get black votes, because they think we need ratchet, bougie, classic.
So people believe while bringing Megan Thee Stallion on board might boost visibility and generate buzz, many feel that it's not a substitute for the hard work required to address the deep-seated issues affecting black communities. The message critics are sending is clear. It's not about the star-studded events or celebrity endorsements. It's about the substance and real commitment to enacting policies that bring about lasting change. One person wrote, "She didn't disrespect black women. She disrespected the entire community. But our people disrespect themselves too. Megan and Quavo don't represent me, my family, or our values. I'm sure I speak for 99% of the community." Another one added, "She's not even black. When someone wants to get something in politics, he or she used the people who may look like as him or her. The difference here is that we are not talking about a black but an Indian, because we are categorized as people of color now. She wants to use black people." This dynamic interplay between Harris's efforts and the community's response is a critical storyline to watch as the campaign progresses. Will Harris's persistent engagement and personal narrative ultimately resonate with black voters, or will lingering doubts about her past and the authenticity of her outreach undermine her efforts? The answer to this question will have significant implications not only for Harris's campaign, but also for the broader political landscape and the ongoing struggle for racial justice in America. Anyway, that's it for this video, folks. Bye.